is not peripheral. It is central to building the Kenya we want. Ladies and gentlemen, disability in all its forms, is an inherent aspect of human experience. It knows no boundaries, affecting individuals across age, gender, race, and social economic status. It is a facet of diversity that enriches the outlook of our communities. Yet, history reminds us that persons with disabilities have often faced exclusion, stigma, and systemic barriers. Today, we celebrate the milestones we have made as a nation. We remember the days when disability was misunderstood, when children and relatives with disabilities were hidden away, assistive devices were unavailable, assessments were cumbersome and costly, and qualified medical personnel was scarce. The transformation we see today is a testament to the resilience of our people and the institutional, legislative, and programmatic interventions championed by both state and unstate actors. I particularly commend the National Council for Persons with Disabilities for its relentless efforts to embed disability inclusion across our society. Ladies and gentlemen, since we are gathered here under the banner of devolution, allow me to highlight some of the tangible strides county governments have made in advancing the rights and welfare of persons with disabilities, as captured in the 2025
There have been lots of misconceptions or myths about agroecology and related systems like organic agriculture, biointensive agriculture, and so on. There are those who keep asking very many questions that should have even been asked to the Green Revolution efforts. For example, can they feed a nation with the growing populations? That is a question that everyone keeps asking even today. Can agroecology feed a nation or a country? Is agroecology profitable and affordable? And questions like, are our systems that are based on agroecological innovation sustainable and scalable? And friends, I want to say these questions, they are the real questions why the reason for focusing on agroecology makes us believe the way to transform our agriculture and food systems will be contributing to these questions that everyone keeps asking. And some of the people who ask these questions are those who have, of course, their beliefs in other systems of transforming our agriculture. Next. So when we talk about food systems, and this is a very important area I want to look at because my topic is within how do we transform our food systems. It is a long dignity can be achieved in food systems. Food systems, as we know, can contribute to various sustainable development goals. Zero hunger, as you know, is one of those that is key, which I've also seen through the various exhibitions by various counties. SDG 3, good health and well, and that goes through up to SDG number 15, life on land. But this is what I want to bring to your attention. When we talk about food systems, we are talking about all the important components of agricultural production systems, processing, distribution, marketing, human health and well-being, and the environment. And the connections and how these are influenced by markets, trade, governments, corporations, cultures, geography where people are based, climate. And we also have the support systems that contribute to these four major areas of food systems. Of course, government agencies are very important. The public institutions are important. Research, non-profit, private research development, and funders as well as donors. All these are very important for food systems. So for any country to consider the journey of transforming its food systems, those four blocks become the very important areas that one has to look at. And then within each of those areas, there are very specific elements that we have to address. But having said that, we have a huge problem that tends to challenge the desire and the vision of having a functional food system. The challenge of malnutrition, biodiversity loss, as well as climate change. This still remains the triple burden that affects the food systems. But at the same time, we know solutions are being generated to address the triple burden. Next slide, please. Very briefly, I want to indicate that food systems are challenged quite a lot by climate change, and quite a lot by biodiversity loss, and quite a lot by degradation of our natural resources. When we have climate change unchecked, when we have our biodiversity, which is very important, as we know, most of our crops, for example, are open pollinated. And if we destroy our biodiversity, we destroy our bees and so on, basically we are destroying our agriculture and our food security. And of course, if we destroy our natural resources, the land, we leave it unchecked, we are contributing to the three problems we've seen earlier. Now, I want to say over time, from 2001, when very polished scientists boundaries within which we have to work. And these 9 safe boundaries have been affected. And they have been affected by, even by 2013, from the 9, now 6 are affected. And those that are affected, as you can see, climate change, what you see in red, orange, it means we have gone beyond the safe levels. We have also had what has been affected in the area of fresh water, in the area of biodiversity has been affected. And again, those are very important areas that are germane to our agriculture and our well-being. So, and if you look across the whole world, and even Kenya, this is not working, but Kenya, if you can see it, it's becoming a bit more orange, showing that what is happening globally in terms of biodiversity loss, climate change, is all affecting all of us, even in this country. And we have to do something about it. If we do business as usual, then it just means Kenya, in its efforts, for instance, to feed its nation, it will not manage to feed its people. We'll see more hungry mouths than we are supposed to see. And yet, consistent with the theme of this conference, and with this side event, food security is a human right. It is a human right, and no one should be denied that. But then we have to look at how do we address that question. Next slide, please. The journey for the slide is a bit slow. Yeah, but again, as you can see globally, we are really getting affected indeed. Some of the issues I've indicated how our food system globally, regionally, and nationally is being affected is all again part of what I've indicated in the previous slide. This is just part of more information that has been put together to show that the global food system, and when you bring it down to the country level, is being affected with the challenges that I've mentioned in the earlier slides, and this contributing to issues of food insecurity, issues of malnutrition, and so on. And for some people who produce too much, issues of obesity. But what do we need in terms of our food transformation? The bottom line is we need sustainable nutrition that is available, accessible, and affordable. And to do that, we have to transform our food system, what I have here in terms of text, from this side to this side, the desired kind of food systems. The current food systems rely a lot on chemical-based inputs. They have a role to play, we don't dispute that. But we've seen over-reliance on external chemical-based inputs have continued to reduce returns to investments, and sometimes not solving the issues that we are addressing in terms of food security. So we are saying we want to move from issues of malnutrition, widespread poverty, poor working conditions for farmers, environmental challenges, to systems of food that guarantee healthy nutritious diets as a norm, good food that is affordable, accessible, and available, and a decent food that also guarantees that people have their livelihoods as well. And that means having a safe and stable climate as well. So when we talk of transforming our food systems, it means we are changing from the practices that we've been used to, which we really haven't been able to get to where we want to be, to practices that ensure ensuring that people's livelihoods are guaranteed and that resources are well utilized. Next slide, please. Now, when it comes to agroecology, as someone mentioned earlier, I know in the interest of time, I will not go into a lot of details. But agroecology is quite broad, bigger than agriculture, that looks at how we can ensure we have the desired food systems, beginning from the bottom level to the level that you can see of society. That is when we begin from the farms, moving through to the landscapes, like in villages, like in Homa Bay here, communities to the society. Society means at country level. And to do this, FAO and experts that have looked at issues of food security have come up with 13 principles. And some of you are aware with them, some you are not. But these are simply guidelines that help us to have decent transitions in our agriculture. Issues of secure social equity and responsibility has a subset of principles like fairness, participation, and that's why we are here talking of participation in governance, issues of social inclusion, co-creation of knowledge, connection, and so on. And then we have issues of principles on how to improve resource efficiency in terms of recycling, in terms of inclusion, and that means we are able also to reduce external inputs. What we have there is input reduction in terms of external inputs. And then we also strengthen our resilience of our systems in terms of our health, our soil health, synergies, the economics in terms of markets, and also in terms of reducing, enhancing biodiversity. So the 13 principles are very critical to agroecological systems. Next slide, please. Now, I want to mention just some little statistics about the organics, which many people tend to relate to when they talk about agroecology. But organic agriculture is not the only thing, but it's kind of closer to what people then tend to feel. When you go to anyone's farm, people talk of organic agriculture. Yeah, it's actually what agroecology is, but it's a bit more than that. But I want to say we have about 3.4 million hectares of land that is organic on this continent. And this is about 3% of the global land where agriculture is dedicated. And among the top 10 countries that we have most producers, our neighboring country, Uganda, has the highest, over 404,000 farmers. And in terms of organic area in hectares, again, our neighboring country has done quite well with over 505,000. 5 minutes. Oh, I'm being told it's 5 minutes. I've gone a bit beyond time. So, basically, as you can see, Kenya is not in here, but we are picking up. Let's see the next slide. And of course, it is a very growing industry. This is what we can see, kind of over the years. The organic sector has been growing very modestly. Next slide, please. In terms of the top 10 countries with the largest organic agricultural areas, that is in 2023 statistics, according to the 2023 statistics, you can see where Kenya is. It's among them with 173,000 hectares. Uganda is still leading, as you can see, with over 505,000. Next slide, please. Highest organic share, that means those people have really, the countries that have really put a lot of focus on the organic sector, and therefore agroecology will be Sao Tome and Prince. This is a small country to the west coast of West Central Africa, followed by Togo, and of course the other countries are like Uganda, as you can see, up to Ethiopia. Next slide, please. In terms of distribution of the 10 most countries with the highest number of producers, of course, India is the highest, and in Africa, and East Africa in particular, we have Uganda, followed by Ethiopia. Uganda is about 404, and Ethiopia about 121,000. Next slide, please. These are the type of crops, as you can see. Those that are mostly under the organics are permanent crops, which we can see like coffee, nuts, cocoa, and arable crops that are about 41%, and most of them are olives, textiles, and vegetables. Next slide, please. These are about the potential for exports. Let me not go into details because of the interest of time. Next slide, please. This shows where most of the products are exported to and what kind of products that are exported. And as you can see in Africa, again, Uganda seems to be the country that is very much in the global markets when it comes to organic exports, a bit more than us in Kenya. Now, very briefly, I've already talked about the right to food being a moral right. And I would like to say that if we do this, then it means we have to question ourselves, how do we make sure that food is sufficient, available, people have means or access to it, and it can adequately meet everyone's dietary needs, and everyone has access to it. Because when we leave some people behind, then the right to food is denied of those people. So we have to have people develop the capacity to feed themselves in dignity. So it's not about charity, it's about everyone having a right to feed themselves. Next slide, please. And to do this, therefore, we need to change certain things in our systems. what we call trade-offs, and we build synergies in our food systems, and connecting health and nutrition. When you connect health and nutrition and you have inclusive foods, livelihoods where everyone is participating, then you are able to ensure that the right to food is guaranteed. And if we do that, then we are able to achieve, again, the things I've indicated. For the right to food to be achieved, we need to have healthy and nutritious food that is sufficient and available to all, inclusive, meaning that everyone can actually partake of it, and within environmental stable systems. With that, then it means also we are looking at the issue of how do we make our systems resilient. Resilient meaning that they can resist changes we have, whether geopolitical changes, environmental challenges, but we still have something for everyone in terms of food as a moral right. Next slide, please. Now, these are some of the points I had, but I won't go into details why it's important to have a dignified human being in terms of ensuring food security. It is about securing that human dignity. It's about going by the Human Declaration of Human Rights, that food is implicitly implied. Everyone must have access to it. And it's also within international covenants and agreements. And I'm glad our own constitution is part of this. Then we have responsibility for states and the governments. Yesterday someone said, devolution is not just for the counties. It's a project of the national government. And that gives responsibility to the state and its counties to ensure that everyone has food on the table. If you can access it or you can buy it, it is affordable, it is nutritious, that right is what we need to guarantee. And finally, it has ethical implications. No one should be left behind, in summary. Next slide, please. I would have wished to show you some of the things that we need to see or demonstrate in our agroecology system so that we show why we need to support this, and evidence is huge in terms of contributing to health, in terms of contributing to sustained yield, in terms of also what it means if we reduce taxes on chemical inputs and put some taxes and subsidies in the agroecological work in terms of training, then you move farmers from red, who are used to conventional, industrial, which is sometimes not rewarding, and transitioning towards becoming more agroecological farmers in very stable systems. So we need then to see how do we keep them here in green and not to transition back to go to the old systems that are unsustainable. Next slide, please. But we know that as we do that, we always receive very strong competition from the chemical industry, what we call pushback. They might want to show agroecology cannot feed a nation. It is not sustainable. It is not productive. With the aim of ensuring that the gains made in moving people to more sustainable systems that are agroecology based, they go back to the more unstable industrial systems that are not very sustainable. Next slide, please. And finally, my message is we need to raise ambitions. And by raising ambitions from food security to food system resilience, we look at more aspects. Diversification of enterprises, and so on. We need to harmonize our goals, improve connectivity in terms of moving from what we call model exchange to midstream interlinkages, meaning rural and urban linkages, meaning connecting farmers to consumers, meaning connecting farmers to markets, and so on. If I had a bit of more time, I would explain more. We strengthen also responsiveness. That means making sure that our systems can optimize everything. And I'm glad to see what we have seen here in terms of circular economy. People making the waste to become useful products that contribute to the economies and also to production of some fertilizers, organic fertilizers that go into soil health. That means we are creating a circular economy around which also you create jobs, you create employment, and you are strengthening responsiveness. And finally, it is in terms of anchoring governance. And that means you become more comprehensive if you want to achieve these things. Next. Just to continue, this is just all the key players that can be involved in our food systems, and I won't go into details of that. Next, please. I'm glad to see some of the efforts that have been made by different countries in our region. This is Tanzania was the first to come up with an agroecology strategy on ecological organic agriculture, which has been fully adopted by the ministry. And very recently, they also accepted farmer seed to be part of the seeds to be actually put on the markets and production of the same and to be sold. Next slide, please. And Kenya, we have not been left behind, and I'm sure my colleague who is next will be talking more about our national agroecology strategy. Next, we have opportunities that we can draw from. There is more growing interest and the issue of linking nutrition to health. It's really picking up, and it's a motivation for us to consider how we go in agroecology. The current CADIP program that our heads of states implemented or have approved, it is also focusing on how to strengthen agricultural practices, and this is an opportunity we can draw from, and also looking at the indicators for which we can show progress in terms of organic agriculture and agroecology. There are indicators, and we are about to develop new ones to be added to consider agroecology more strongly within the CADIP framework. Next, and I think it is the last one. And finally, what I have said is, when it comes to agroecology, we are talking of how we can improve our health, link it to nutrition, and link it to the systems that can ensure resilient production. We are also looking at systems that can slow down effects of climate change. And if we have time, we'll look at some of those very particularly. And it has been shown that agroecological practices also contribute to reducing greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. And with all the issues of circularity, it means you are actually also helping to get more inputs into the system. And when it comes to organics, like what I've seen, what some of the people are doing with circular economy, they're building more carbon into their soils, improving soil health, improving soil productivity. But very importantly then, we need to ensure with whatever we do, we are ensuring that everyone has a right to food. Whether you can buy it, you can access it, it's affordable, it's nutritious. Those are the key aspects that have to be put into the system that we can say we are transforming from our current systems to more sustainable, inclusive systems. And they require all the partners. And that's why devolution, to an extent, if all are to take their responsibilities very, very clearly, very, very carefully, we can achieve a lot. Thank you, moderator. It was not easy to go through all my presentations, but I'm glad that is what I needed to share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Tupigie daktari makofi ya Devolution. Amani makofi ya Homa Bay. Yes. So he has touched on a lot of things. The issue of what agroecology is. Situlianza kusema agroecology is new. But from the principles he has explained, they seem like these are things that we already know. The 13 principles. So they are not really new, but we need to rethink and implement them. Allow me to now invite Engineer Alice Nyaga to share with us about the National Agroecology Strategy for Food Systems Transformation that has been mentioned, and also how then counties can pick it up and domesticate that National Agroecology Strategy for Food System Transformation, so that we can be able to realize the right to food and all the other objectives in the strategy. Karibu sana, engineer.
Thank you, Daktari. I appreciate. It's still good morning. Good morning. Thank you. I appreciate all the participants present. I appreciate my predecessor, Daktari. Thank you for setting the pace. I think that was very, very good. My name is Alice Nyaga. I'm an agricultural engineer with Ministry of Agriculture, State Department for Crops. I'm currently heading the section that is involved in agricultural land, agricultural resource use, climate change, in the Directorate of Agricultural Engineering. Don't want to talk much about myself. We can side chat after this. But my work here is to say that the agroecology strategy was developed with a lot of consultation with the counties, and it was launched last year. We are now in the phase which is called implementation of the strategy, which involves now the counties to have the policies to implement the various activities or the various recommendations in the strategy. So my presentation is the internal operations of the National Technical Committee for Agroecology, and what are the next steps that we need to implement or to take. Looking at this, where we are now, this is Devolution Conference, so we'll be talking about more of what the counties need to do or what we need to do together. The national government, the county, the partners, and all other stakeholders. My presentation will be a bit hashed, but I believe we'll be able to share the presentation so that we are able to follow through. So the National Technical Committee on Agroecology is one of the recommendations of the strategy to have the implementation take place. It is in Chapter 4 of the National Agroecology Strategy for Food System Transformation. Our population keep increasing, and we need to have the system that is sustainably feeding our people. So the NTCA is envisioned to play a pivotal role in the implementation of the strategy to realize the gains that are envisioned in that strategy. So it will provide core operation revolving around leadership, technical expertise, cross-sectional coordination, and accountability. Because agroecology is bigger than agriculture. We need everybody on board, and it affects all spheres of our food system: the climate, the biodiversity, the water, and everything that we know in agriculture helps us to produce more food. So in this framework, we want to say that involvement of planning, inclusive participation, adaptive oversight, knowledge management, they are key areas. So we also need to also think about resource mobilization. Implementing this agroecology will not be easy, will not be cheap. So we need to have very robust resource mobilization to ensure effective transformation of Kenya's food system towards sustainability, resilience, and inclusivity. We don't want to leave anyone behind. So the overall goal, the roles of the committee as provided in that Chapter 4 of the agroecology strategy is coordination of strategy implementation. Then collective determination and advising the line ministries and agencies as appropriate as measures to be undertaken to achieve the strategy's objectives. Then it's also to assess progress and steering the coordination of reports on the achievement of the strategy, to focus on the results, the outputs and the outcomes, and also to facilitate sector-wide intra and cross-county, regional, and global linkages on agroecology. So this committee will do all that. And that is the diagrammatic representation of the implementation, the coordination mechanism and institutional setup for the strategy implementation, and the National Technical Committee on Agroecology. You can see it on the 1, 2, 3 tier, and it is all interlinked. We expect that at the national, slightly back, my friend, at the national level, we'll have Agroecology Summit, where the PSAs of the line ministries will be the chair, with the county, the COG, the other partners, ISFA, and farmers' organization will be at that summit. Then they will be coordinating together with the Council of Governors, ISFA, Agroecology Secretariat, JASCOM, and all the other players that are involved. But the National Technical Committee on Agroecology will be like the one that will be at the center of implementation. In line with the Intergovernmental Relations Act of 2012, the NTCA will comprise the following institutions and actors. And I think that's what I've said. There is agriculture, livestock, fisheries, cooperative, health, environment, education. Sorry about that. It's not education, it's education. Water, irrigation, ASAL and National Treasury, together with other agencies like Agriculture Food Authority, the Kenya Bureau of Standards, KEFIS, and others. Then there will be representation from COG, ISFA, and representative of the farmer organization and growers associations, research and academia, representative of civil societies, representative of processors or manufacturers and marketing organizations, representative of development partners, representative of consumer organizations, and representative of other stakeholder groups that may be co-opted by the committee. Because agroecology is not, we cannot fix everything at the beginning. So we may need to adopt, co-opt other players as the implementation kicks off. And we know in Kenya, every county has its own policy. So we expect as we go to the implementation, each county with their uniqueness will be able to implement this strategy for the benefit of us all. So at the national level, there is the National Agroecology Summit, the National Technical Committee on Agroecology, and then the Secretariat. At the county level, we expect the CASCOM to take lead, and then CASCOM TWG on agroecology to be established, if not already established. The national county level linkages will align with existing structures, intergovernmental structures with vertical and horizontal collaboration and partnership. Because this cannot be done by one organization, neither can it be done in one county exclusive. Because where the boundary of one county ends, the other one begins. And the farmers and the producers and the other stakeholders, they may not know exactly where the boundary is. They know these are our neighbors. So sometimes the meetings may not be within the county, they be within the block of counties, depending on the agroecological issue we are talking about. If we take like Lake Victoria, if we talk about Busia, Siaya, Homa Bay and Kisumu, all of them share the same water. And one event in one county may affect another. So when we come to other issues, we may need inter and extra county discussions. So the steps in operation of the National Agroecology Strategy for Food System Transformation, we have been discussing, and we come up with a framework. And these are the proposals we have made to have. So establishment and operationalization. To constitute the National Technical Committee, we want to define the terms of reference, composition, and then we develop the operating procedures. Then we also develop and endorse operational guidelines, meeting schedules, and accountability mechanism. That is where we are now. Then number 2, strategic planning and work plan development. Facilitate collaborative preparation and annual and multi-year action plans, aligning national, county, and sector-specific priorities for agroecology. Also set up thematic working groups within the committee for key strategy focus areas, that is like policy, research, extension, markets, inclusivity, financing, etc. Stakeholder engagement and capacity building is another step. We want to launch regular consultative forums, platforms at national and county levels to solicit stakeholder input and development, and also develop joint activities. Train committee members, county teams, and community focal points on coordination, inclusive participation, monitoring, and technical skills. Then number 4, implementation, oversight, and reporting. Oversee rolling out of the strategy, priority interventions, providing technical backstopping, troubleshooting, and adaptive management system. The team that is implementing this, the secretariat, together with the steering committee, we shall be working together on this. So we also want to establish reporting templates, M&E tools, aggregating results for national progress reviews. We want each county to have their own path or their own steps, but we want to move together. So some counties may be ahead in some areas, but we want to coordinate such that no county or no one is left behind. There's another area that knowledge sharing and learning loops. We would want to continue organizing national and county level forums, symposium, and site visits to facilitate knowledge exchange between the implementers, the farmers, the producers, the policymakers. Systematically document lessons learned, case studies, and policy briefs for dissemination to all actors. We want to continue documenting the success stories such that one region can learn from another. Resource mobilization and partnership management is another key area. We want to identify funding opportunities, prepare joint proposals and protocols, and coordinate resource allocation through transparent mechanisms within and without our institutions. Foster alliances with donor agencies, research partners, and provide sector innovators to scale successful models. Thank you. Continuous review and policy feedback. We would want to conduct annual and mid-term reviews of coordination framework and the strategies progress. Then we also propose policy updates or shifts based on implementation evidence, stakeholder feedback, emerging trends, and the lessons that we learn along the way. With that, I think my presentation ends there. And we continue engaging. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer. Makofi kwa Engineer Alice. She also didn't tell you that she is also the chair of the National Technical Committee on Agroecology. So she'd be very key in ensuring that that national agroecology strategy for food systems transformation is implemented, and of course that means working very closely with county government to realize the dream. So thank you very much. I think now we have an opportunity to have a panel discussion. And I want to invite my panelists to come to these red chairs. They look very hot, eh? Yes, when something is red, it's on fire. So let me invite Manei Nanyu, who's the head of programs at PELUM Kenya, to come onto the hot seat. Daniel Gitahi, Director, Devolution, Agroecology and Linkages, Murang'a County. Please join the red hot seats. And then Bwana Derek Ngigi, who is a youth farmer. Please join as well. And also Dr. Mudavi and Alice, if you could be kind enough to join my panelists so that the people of Kenya can ask you a few questions. Si muko na maswali? You want to know about agroecology, the strategy, what's being done, what Murang'a County has done, and what they are doing, and their experiences, and so on. Great. Karibuni sana, my panelists. And I'll go straight to Mr. Daniel Gitahi, the Director, Devolution, Agroecology and Linkages from Murang'a County. Some of you may know, but Murang'a is known as the home of agroecology. Now, Bwana Daniel, can you tell us why Murang'a is called the home of agroecology? And also, since you are the first county to develop and implement an agroecology policy, even before the national government developed the agroecology strategy, could you share some of your experiences, successes? What are some of the things that inspired you to, walk this unbeaten path? And what are some of the innovations that you could share with the other counties that maybe are hearing about agroecology for the first time here, or maybe are still, behind? What could you share from your experience?
Thank you very much, Dr. Uru. As you've heard, my name is Daniel Gitahi. And specifically, I want those who have not heard is that Murang'a, as you've heard, has a position at the global level. I'm told it was the third subnational government in the world to have recognized food systems through legislative process. That is added in 2022. And by 2023, it had a legal framework and a policy that clearly outlines what needs to be done. Why? Murang'a County is predominantly a cash crop economy in terms of its pathway in terms of developing its GDP. And therefore, looking at history, productivity of most of the enterprises had gone down. And what I mean down means that a crop like coffee with a potential of doing over 10 kilos on average per bush is doing 3 kilos. Tea is doing 1 kilo per bush. And many other enterprises that you'll imagine. That is one of the reasons. And looking at the root cause of it is that we had an issue with our soil health. And what I mean issues is that our farmers, of course, knowing that is the history, the area where the first generation of Kikuyu was brought up, also means that tilling of land would have started in medieval times, maybe. So we have a long history of tilling our land, and our soils are highly acidic. That would mean that we have what we call phosphorus toxicity. So despite how much fertilizers and other farming inputs we want to use, then it will mean that we cannot achieve optimal yields. And what we've been trying for a long time, for years, is that we are not trying to fix the root cause of the problem. You remember sometimes Murang'a County actually gave farmers farmyard manure to try and solve some of those issues. And what was indicated is that coffee yields actually went up because that manure was targeted at the farmers. Beyond that, I know most of you may not know, but what we call Mount Kenya has a key issue with the health issues that are related to the way we live. They are called non-communicable diseases. Go and Google at issues of non-communicable diseases, not in Murang'a, but in the Mount Kenya region. That's another issue that drove us to want to adopt food system transformation. And food system transformation is about using resources in a way that is sustainable and that will ensure future generations are able to feed themselves. So we are producing food. Murang'a County, as of now, is food secure. But we want to ensure that as we produce as much food, we can assure the next generations that they'll also be able to produce food, because you are sustainably used to the soil. That is essentially what agroecology is all about. Then you ask about what we have done to ensure that we are pushing agroecology and food system transformation ahead. One of the things is that we recognized our gaps in developing our what we call a short-term strategy, and we realized that we needed to first set up a multi-stakeholder platform that will ensure that we are using an approach, a popular approach where we have government-led but private sector heavy engagement. So we developed a multi-stakeholder platform that is working very well and has helped us to mobilize resources towards food systems. Then we set up partnership with the persons that came to the multi-stakeholder platform. Among the partnership is that we have a local university called Murang'a University of Agriculture, Murang'a University of Technology, and we have developed a curriculum where even the national government can come and send officers to come and learn. It's the only university other than Nairobi University that has a curriculum in agroecology. It's modular based. It takes 6 weeks. You can send farmers, you can send staff, because we need champions to ensure that farmers are able to adopt a sustainable system in terms of food production. So, and it only costs about 15,000 to enroll on a modular basis, so you can learn from Murang'a. The other thing is that we set partnership with the University of Nairobi on what is called NCD research, and this one we are doing it in partnership with the Department of Health. We are tracking our progression of non-communicable diseases, and we want to set up a solution for increasing non-communicable diseases. So in line with that research that is ongoing within Murang'a, we have something that will be surprise you that we are calling food pharmacy. Food pharmacy doesn't sell drugs. It tells people on why you need to eat healthy, because you can actually prevent predisposition of non-communicable disease. What I mean by non-communicable diseases, those of you that have heard about diabetes, cancer, arthritis, high blood hypertension, those are diseases actually you can prevent by the way you feed. So we have proposed to set up food pharmacies to ensure that our nutritionists that are the hospitals can actually teach people on why and how they need to feed well. Then we will also be teaching people on how to produce sustainably and ensure that the food that is being eaten by our producers, the farmers, is safe. The key word is safe, because you have enough food. But ask yourself, are you sure that food is safe? The organization that is mandated to do control of active ingredients in pesticides actually will deal about, I don't know whether they are 40 or they are 10, a number of active ingredients from the market, because they say they have a leading evidence that they could be related to some of the non-communicable diseases. So we want people to eat food that is safe. That means if you are not transformed to agroecology and you are eating food, then you are sure of the source, and therefore we want to ensure as a county that we can trace the source of that food, how it is produced, so that we can we don't have a small number of people who can afford eating organic produced food, so that we can get that food close to the farmers. And how we are doing it is that we have established things we are calling organic markets. So in every sub-county headquarters where we have a government market, we have asked that they be allocated a shed where they can dispense of food. So if you are in Kangari, for example, there is Kangari Organic Market. If you want to eat healthy, you walk in, the food is labeled, it is available. So if you have, for example, hypertension, and you know your problem, the source of your problem, and the solution is to eat well, we actually now providing food through organic markets. We have several organic markets, about 5 of them, in most of the sub-county headquarters, and we want to ensure that they are getting these spaces as we grow. The other thing is that we worked with Nairobi through the assistance of ACC. We negotiated to map all markets in Nairobi. So we have we have an online market where you can know where to take food in Nairobi from Murang'a. We are working on that, and what we need to do is that we are working with on traceability in partnership with COAN, so that when you take food to a market in Nairobi, you would have that indication that's actually organically produced. That's what you are doing in terms of innovation. Then in terms of what you need to learn if you are from the county government is that when we started the agroecology movement and food system transformation, we knew that we were pursuing a path that is not well known. There are only a few people that understood what agroecology is. Good enough. I was in the movement, organic movement in Kenya 10 years ago. So I knew what food system transformation was all about. And no wonder Muranga is slightly ahead. We understood why we needed to go food systems, and that's why we adopted. But then, a few challenges that it is not easy, just like Christianity, to convince anybody to convert to be a Christian. You really have to struggle. Before somebody can say, yes, I'm saved, I have accepted Lord Jesus Christ. So similarly, even as you want to embrace food system, remember that it's just like a gospel. You need to convince people why they need to produce with less conventional farm inputs. Once they understand, I'm sure you will have got convertees. In Muranga, at least, we have converted a few because they are making the sensation that is affecting the neighboring counties. We have been able to influence what we call the Central Region Economic Bloc to a sitting of all CCs and most administrators as Muranga County on why they need to embrace food system. But by the way, we also managed to convince the national government to embrace national food system transformation. If you go to that document, you'll find the names of teams from Muranga who worked very hard to develop that NASFST. So essentially what we want to do, Dr. Uru, is that we are not looking at ourselves as a conclave in Muranga, but we want to make sure this country does not spend as much money as they spend on health, because there is a solution, and the solution is in full health. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think now you understand why Muranga is the home of agroecology. They set the agenda for the national government, and they've done a lot. So thank you very much. Mane, can you tell us a little bit about PELUM Kenya, and also what steps are you taking to ensure that the national agroecology strategy is actually rolled to the counties so that the impact is felt in all our 47 counties?
Okay, thank you so much, Daktari. So my name is Mane from PELUM Kenya. PELUM is Participatory Ecological Land Use Management and is a national network of civil society organizations promoting agroecology principles and practices among the smallholder farmers and pastoralists in Kenya. We are happy that we are reaching all the 47 counties of Kenya, and we are reaching over 1.5 million farmers. So as PELUM Kenya, this was issues of advocacy and policy for agroecology is one of our key thematic areas. And that's how we come in terms of influencing policies that are supporting agroecology. For example, the National Agroecology Strategy for Food System Transformation, we played a key role in supporting and ensuring that it was finally launched. But we understand that most of the policies remains on the shelf. If they are not supported to be implemented, then they will never be implemented. So we've taken a step further, and we have fundraised more to be able to domesticate and support domestication of this national strategy at the county levels. We have also supported several counties. Currently, Vihiga has already launched theirs around March, April there, and we also worked with Muranga before even the National Agroecology Strategy was launched. We are also supporting other counties, including Turkana County and Makueni County, which is almost launching their policy, and other counties. I know Waziri is here for Kitui, will also come to your county. Yeah, so basically that's what we are doing in terms of first pooling resources to ensure that we have enough funds to ensure that this strategy can be domesticated at the county level. Number two, what we are doing is also working with other partners in terms of supporting multi-stakeholder platforms to be able to come up with the implementation plan. So we are working with partners like ICRAF, Biovision Africa Trust, ISFA here to develop the M&D implementation plan for this strategy so that it can be domesticated and guided well in terms of the action plan for the strategy. Number 3 is the issue of and supporting the institutions to be able to have curriculum. We also we are happy that Gitai has mentioned about the Murang'a University, which we also supported in the development of the curriculum, and that is the way that because we want this, the learners to, and also the farmers can go to the university and learn some of these practices that can be implemented on the ground. We've also supported directly the extension staff from these counties because they are the ones who work with the farmers on a daily basis. We have supported them in terms of capacity building to be able to understand agroecology and be able to support the farmers on the ground on implementation of agroecology. So the other thing we are ensuring is we are starting piloting another program in Murang'a County on school feeding program where we want to link the producers. Those are the agroecology producers. We want to link them with the school so that our learners at the primary level can be able to access nutritious and healthy food. So you know, to accelerate adoption of agroecology with the farmer, you have to show them that there is money in their pockets at the end of the day. So if you train them and you don't link them with the markets, then they will end up not even adopting the practice. But once we can be able to link them with these schools and they be the ones applying to these schools, then it will be easier for them to also adopt and even accelerate more adoption among the other farmers who may not have been practicing before. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Bwana Derek, you're a youth, and they say the youth is the future. I actually believe the youth is the now, because you're making changes now. Could you tell us about some of the challenges that you're facing and how either the national agroecology strategy or county level policies like in Murang'a is helping you to address some of those challenges?
So thank you very much, and also to the organizers to put me in this panel. With the youth, we have a very big challenge, and it's a myriad of challenges. And the first challenge, number 1, begins with the land ownership. I can tell you for a fact, the land where I farm, it's not my land. And out of a group of friends and young farmers that farm, I think only about 2 is their land. And so what happens? At the end of the day, number 1, if it is, I have leased the land, the youth will be, why would I practice this agroecology? The soil is not mine. 2, 3, 4 years, I will leave this land and look for another land to lease. So with that, challenges starts to develop at that particular point. Going in further, it comes issues on access of finance so that you can begin on farming. Agriculture, or rather, the farming, the production is not as cheap. And when you come also on transitioning, when you're transitioning from conventional agriculture now to the agroecology agriculture, it's not also as cheap. It will cost you at about $300, $400 US per acre to do the consult. So access to finance becomes a very, very big challenge to the youth farmers. Problem number 4 is that information again is also limited, and in terms of access to information on agroecology. But one, I have to commend the work about where the different stakeholders and partners have done on an issue that I mentioned, that is soil health. So right now I have a guarantee. If I call even a farmhand from the village, they know how to make compost or bokashi. So I am excited. But as this is coming up, we have other information that needs to continue to support agroecology, such as the good work that Dr. Abidavid have done in terms of Infonet. But when you come to pest and disease management, again, is a whole nother issue. So your crop are growing, doing very well. They reach at a certain stage where you have to make a very big decision. Do I now go back to conventional, or do I have to watch my entire acre of cabbage go away with something I do not have a solution, an agroecologic solution to. And so those become some of the key pertinent challenges that we, the youth, do face. Then finally is on the markets. So as you have heard, it is not cheap to transition into agroecology. And now that I've transitioned to agroecology, where are the markets? And that's why we have this conception that if I grow my food in a safe manner, then it ought to be expensive. It does not come out of the need or just saying it ought. It's because the process of growing it, it's expensive. You consume a lot of money vis-a-vis what your neighbor does, because a bag of fertilizer, it's about 2,000, 2,500, 3,500. But bringing manure all the way from Masai land is 30,000. So explaining now how I will not sell my cabbage at a higher price becomes a problem. And at the end of the day, when I've grown this in a safe manner and I'm selling it, and now comes here the brokers. My cost of production is almost 20 shillings. They're offering me 2 shillings. So it becomes almost impossible for us, the youth, to grow. But now come what agroecology has they have assisted us to do. Number one, and which is very, very key, is now access to information on how can I have planted maize, 3, 4, 5 acres, then how can I convert the maize stalk to become compost? So it saves me a lot of money that I would have otherwise gone to get the manure, to see how do I optimize this compost from maize stalk, value add it with very available materials such as the tithonia to make now a good compost. And that access of information, because we have a lot of, this policy has allowed a lot of partners to come on ground and continuously train the youth farmer. Number two is the publicity it gives the importance of growing food right, or safely produced food. So it gives us an option to have access to the correct markets. Through the food pharmacies, we are able to, channel the food that we grow, and we are sure that we are going to get the fair prices. Then also, just a little bit to backtrack in terms of the use of technology. So, and I'm glad to have CEO Beaver today here, because they have done quite some work on the Ifronet, but we have to figure out a way, how do we remove it from the website to a manner which a normal youth who is mainly on WhatsApp can now access this information. So that again has helped to inch closer, how can we transition to. But one thing we feel that we are quite lagging behind is how do we make sure that this youth farmer have access to finance. I will give credit also to Biovision, because working with the likes of Shona and bringing nature closer, the nature accelerator program closer to the youth, they are now progressing that. But how can we make it available to every other local youth? We have to appreciate that not a lot of youth have the ability to sit down and write a proposal and write a detailed 40, 50-page proposal on what they want to do. How then do we create a platform which tracks and gives it in terms of little by little information, tracking what this person is doing, assisting them to understand what are the next steps so that they can be able to have equal access to finance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. a lot of issues, challenges faced by the youth, but I'm glad that there are also already some solutions to some of those challenges. Maybe just Dr. Mudavi, could you react to some of these challenges, because you've been mentioned as having or contributing to addressing some of these challenges, before we give it to Alice to also tell us how the national government is using agroecology to try and address some of the challenges that is facing the youth, but I'm sure similar challenges are being faced by many other stakeholders as well.
Thank you, Moderator Dr. Ulu, and thank you, the panelists. I'll probably react to 3 or so things. One, the issue of products and markets. It is true that conventional products, and if you produce for markets, standards are guided, they are very clear. Also, organic products, if you produce for markets, there are also standards that are very clear. When we talk of agroecological products, if we use that term, it is not yet very clear which standards to use. And this is where we have started working with ARSO, which is an African standardization organization. It is an agency of the African Union. And also with the National Bureau of Standards. Already we are doing some work with the Kenya National Bureau of Standards, Tanzania Bureau of Standards, and the Uganda Bureau of Standards, and to some extent Rwanda. We want to look at how do we develop a standard that would be akin to what we would call an agroecologically produced product. We are having discussions around the issues of sustainability, because EcoMark is a bit closer to a standard that can be used. But we also know what could be the limitations in terms of agroecology. So this is an issue we want to move with a bit of speed and care, and involve all the key institutions so that we can get agroecological transformations or progress leading to products that are also recognized by the markets. So this is something I want to say. We hope in due course, working with all the norms, including COAN and others, and the certification bodies, we will be able to cross the pathway. Secondly, the issue of knowledge, information, making it available. And thank you, Derek, for the compliments on the Infonet database. But you raise also an important issue. How do we get this information that is largely a database on the website made available to farmer on the ground? Already we are working with FIBO, an organization in Switzerland, and some organization in Nairobi, getting the really needed information for farmers to reach their phones. We are digitalizing information. So we want to look at that and other creative ways of ensuring that we do not have information lying in databases but not getting finally to the consumers of that information. So thank you for that. You are inspiring me to make a not a recommendation, but to fast track on how we can be getting the most needed and urgent information in terms of production, in terms of markets, and so on, reach the farmers. And thirdly, we have also realized that working with farmers to promote sustainable agriculture, truly sustainable agriculture, which is really what underlies agroecology as a basis, we need to work across various dimensions. One dimension is about information and knowledge. That is knowledge management. It's very important. Another dimension is about capacitation, building the capacity, not only of the producers, but also those who reach the farmers. And I'm glad we are here. We are talking of county extension systems, national extension systems, and efforts being made to review the curriculum and the training of the people who finally go to work with farmers. How do we devise our training to include broad aspects of agroecology into programs? And what innovative extension approaches, tools we can use so that we can get to the farmers? And very importantly, financing. And that's the bit I wanted to say. We have tested certain models of extension. And the models that are accompanied by knowledge management, accompanied by capacitation, and accompanied by financing and appropriate value chains. When you have that together, and with clear markets completing the loop, you are in business. And this is the direction in which we'd like to see our efforts at county level, at national level, that when we talk of food security, not everyone can be a producer. You will be enabling other people to be in the value chain, some in the last mile. Where there is waste, they turn into something of value. You create business jobs there. They are producing organic fertilizers that now go to the farmers. They are producing value-added foods that go to the market. And if we do that, then we are having a very comprehensive economy, including the green economy, or what we call the circular economy, but more importantly, sharpening knowledge management, capacitation, and financing. And that is where I feel we need to put more of our efforts. But again, to do this, as we always say, we need an enabling environment. So policies become important. And I want to applaud our national government for having had the National Strategy for Agroecology developed. I was discussing it here with an expert in this area, and we are saying a strategy is important, but when you have a policy that grounds what you want to do, and that policy is supported by investments that go to specific plans, it becomes a very important policy. As I always say in many forums, for me, a good policy is one that provides the framework and guideline. It comes up with very specific plans and programs and very appropriate budgetary allocation. When you have those three conditions, then you have a successful policy, you have a successful strategy, and you have successful interventions. Thank you, Moderator.
Thank you very much. Engineer Alice, what is the ministry doing to respond to some of these issues? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Moderator. First, I want to appreciate my panelists. I don't know whether this is loud enough, or is it my voice that has gone lower? I want to appreciate, first of all, the first presenter, the first panelist, Gitahi. Having worked in Murang'a when I was a young girl, now I appreciate the journey that we have gone. I want to congratulate the county government of Murang'a. Then listening to the representative from PELUM, this is the way to go. When we work together as partners, in whatever we want to do, stakeholder involvement is the way to go, and we believe that we will have success in this journey. Then listening to our youth farmer, the issues that they are talking about, they are real, and it's not only from his farm. He's representing all the young farmers present and in the future coming, that we need as a government to support with knowledge, with the tools, with the facilitation, because we need to produce food. But the question of the how is where all of us need to put our head. And I want to say that from the national government, from the State Department of Agriculture, with other state departments, especially on issues of environment, where soil becomes a major part. We have developed various policies to guide various strategies. And the most recent one for us is the National Soil Management Policy, which currently we are working to make it workable through a bill, so that now we can roll out. And the issues of fertilizer, soil health are coming up, and the issue of organic fertilizers. I've heard him mention bokashi. And bokashi is one of the fertilizers, organic fertilizers, that is so easy to make at the farm level. And it can also move to the next as a business level, because the youth can come together, the women can come together, make that bokashi and sell to the neighbors. And it is an all-time fertilizer. It's a beso, it's a top dresser, and it is very environmental friendly. because whatever you use. I want to mention something. As a country, we are focusing on forestry to mitigate climate. And in agriculture, we are saying agroforestry. And agroforestry, we have seen when we say agroforestry, people just go and plant anything. We want to focus on agroforestry for food and business. When you think of planting a tree, plant a macadamia tree. It will give you the nuts. The nut is food. I was just in another forum talking about the nuts that feed the brain. Why is Ministry of Health telling us that our children, the gray matter is becoming smaller? It is because of the feeding. So we need to have those foods. I like the issue he talked about food pharmacy or food pharmacists. I think food pharmacists, where we talk about food as medicine. So for me, my message is that we plant trees in our farms to support agroecology and also to support our food system. That tree will give us humus which we can convert to organic manure. It will also give us timber for our stools and whatever else we want to make. It will give us firewood. All that together from one tree. So as we focus in future, the issue of biodiversity in this agroecology. When I was growing up, there were so many weeds that nowadays we cannot see. Why? Our biodiversity is declining. And when it declines with our soil. When soil fertility declines, food production becomes more tedious and more difficult. So let's revert. Let's have those tithonias as our hedges. Let's have those blackjacks growing. And then you can see a good soil health, a good soil with high fertility. You don't need to be told. It will have very vibrant. But to the farmer, the weeds now become an enemy because he or she needs to clear to make way. But that biodiversity is what makes the soil more productive. So let's revert to our way with scientific evidence. These weeds, we can collect them and make them the pesticides, make them the manure, as we recycle the nutrients to make our productive systems more affordable and slightly cheaper. So that we don't want to take our mangoes to the market and nobody buys because it is very expensive, or our vegetables. So we want to compete in that space of the market fairly, but in a way that we maintain our biodiversity, improving our ecology. So from the national government, the policies are there to support. We work closely with the other ministries, the Ministry of Environment, Public Health. The issue of nutrition in the Ministry of Health is also part of agriculture because whatever they talk about, the food comes from agriculture. So we have many forums that we think together. And these experts are here to support any county government to develop these systems that can be able to be sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mesikia vile amesema, the national government is there to support the counties. So let's work together. Now I want to give you an opportunity to ask questions. So wamesema food is a right. The right to food is in the Constitution. I think it's Article 43. And how agroecology is contributing to that. So I want to give you an opportunity to ask questions, comments, reactions, anything.
Thank you so much. My name is Violet Nyando. I work with Cereal Growers Association, and I'm happy to be part of this discussion. Thank you so much, panelists, for your contribution. I want to speak from experience because we are also promoting the production of agroecological products and helping our farmers to really, shift into producing food for the homestead and also that which will go to the market. Now, one of the things that we have observed is that when it comes to producing agroecological products, there's always this small-scale mentality because the products that we're able to produce at home, they're in such small quantities, you can only apply them for your kitchen garden. Now, truth be told, most of the food we consume in Kenya are the cereals, and you'll find the acreage is big. And they would want to apply some of these products on those larger acreages so that they can also transition slowly into agroecology. Now, when you tell them, we want you to reduce the use of inorganic fertilizers and chemicals, they tell you that's okay. But when I walk into an agrovet, you're not giving me an alternative. So what is easily available for me would be the one you are telling me to reduce. So then it is just confined, at a small scale. And we have also seen the same when it comes to using tithonia. You need a lot of biomass for you to have some significant quantities. That then would mean you need to set aside some land. I know we can do on the hedges, but it's not enough. Again, you're only able to produce so much. Now, when you want to produce en masse, and it's a business opportunity, then it means we need to have some land set aside for that particular purpose, and then somebody can go commercial in terms of production, and then now the rest can buy from such an enterprise. And I believe that's an opportunity that we can take advantage of. Now, when it comes to marketing, there's the idea around PGS, Participatory Guarantee System. Most of our smallholder farmers, they don't know. They will tell you, I struggle, I use manure, cow dung, I produce very good vegetables, but when I go to the market, my immediate neighbor has produced using, the conventional method. At the same time, we have to face the customer who is also constrained in terms of money, so they'll go for the cheapest. So if I'm sat there with my skuma at 15 shillings and my neighbor is selling at 10 bob, him or her will sell faster than I am able to do that. So we really need to look around that. And when we talk about that biomass production, then it has to be accompanied with the technology for processing. Because again, carrying tithonia, chopping, then macerating, all that requires a lot of labor. And then it means then as we consider increasing, then we have to look at equipment on how we can go about it. And I want to commend Muranga for the school feeding program. We are also doing the same with some schools in Laikipia and in Meru and Uasin Gishu, where we help our students to engage in agroecological practices where they are able to work on a piece of land together with the parents, and we're able to help them learn more about nutritious food, not only at home but also in school. And when they go home, we hope that they can keep on implementing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Very interesting questions. Can we take a few more so that the panelists can respond to all of them at once?
Hello, my name is Roslyn Gala. I'm a chairperson of a group called Chela Environmental Youth Group that is in Kilifi. And my main problem, actually we usually do kitchen gardens with farmers. But the problem is you are telling them that you want them to use organic fertilizer. You want them to use organic pesticides. But you do not have the technical know-how on how to train them to do that. So they will tell you it is easier for us to just go to the agrovet and get pesticides for 300 shillings rather than going to source out the raw materials to create that. So in our county, I'm very sure we do not have organizations that really are focused on creating pesticides and organic fertilizers for the farmers. If that is something you as PELUM can come and train us as the grassroots organizations there, then we can be able to cascade it down to the farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are alternatives available? What can we do around that?
My name is Augusta Kivunzia. I work for County Government of Kitui. Thank you for the good presentation from our panelists. With the view of the challenges the youth of today are going through when they are doing farming or practicing agriculture, my question goes to Daniel Gitai. Now that you have some partnership with the universities where you have developed curriculum, is it possible to consider a virtual or online curriculum where you can reach more youth, addressing some of these challenges which have been addressed? And also, instead of people coming to the institution, they can go online and have access to this curriculum. And that way you will have a bigger audience and more people will be able to get this information. And to PELUM Kenya, you are supporting counties to implement the strategy on agroecology. Is it that you are supporting the counties to develop another strategy for each county, or are they just developing a plan on how to implement the strategy? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I love these questions. Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ikonya Judith Engrat. I work for Cereal Growers Association. And I'm just concerned about, in most of the counties in Kenya, you will realize that our farmers, even if they are not smallholder farmers, they are having 2 plots of lands. One plot is adopting agroecology, and that is for home consumption. And there is that land that they always tell even their mates or their children not to touch because it's for sale. And in that particular one, they keep putting a lot of agrochemicals, and also it's not safe. They know very well that it's not safe. So what are we going, especially for the national government, what are those things that you put in place to shift at least every farmer within the nation to adopt these agroecological practices? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we respond to this or we pick one more? Farmers have 2 farms, moja agroecological, ingine conventional.
Thank you to panelists, and I want to direct my question to Dr. David Amdavi. The agroecology concept is a concept which you need to amplify and upscale. I just want to know, because you're one of the partners and one of the institutions which are advocating for agroecology, and you can't do it alone. We need to do it with others so that we really move as a team. You as one of the person who is in this area, what are you doing to make sure that we move as a team with other partners, development partners, so that we amplify agroecology? As we know from the start, you said that agroecology is a science, practice, and a movement. So my interest is on how to amplify this to make sure that it's a good idea. We roll it out completely and is accepted across. And all the myths and all the questions we put there before we began, they are adequately answered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My panelists, haya ni maswali mboga sana, si ndio? Tena mboga ya kienyeji, ya kiasili. Take it up. You can respond to any of them that you feel.
Thank you. I'll respond to some that were directed to PELUM Kenya, then I'll also give a chance to the other panelists. So there was one question from a grassroots organization on issues of training and capacity building. Sorry, I didn't get which county you are coming from. Kilifi, okay. Later on, after this, we'll link you up with a member organization. We are working within those areas so that they can also support you, because as I said earlier, we are a network working with the member organization. So in each county, there is a member organization which is supporting the grassroots organization in those counties. But just to add that on the issue of alternatives, we have realized, and as my sister here has said on the issue of labor intensive and everything, there are some of these member organizations or other partners that we are working with that have now gone to another step of being the ones that are supplying some of those bio inputs or the inputs that are needed. Because we have an organization like in Muranga called OAC, which is already now packaging the biofertilizers and the biopesticides, so that you don't have to be in your farm making the bokashi or making the compost. There's someone who can supply it to you. The other thing is we also have a network through another program called Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture, where so far we have trained 421 multipliers. The multipliers in this sense are the trainers of trainers who are with the grassroots people on the ground. So they have this knowledge and skills, and they train the farmers on the different aspects of agroecology, including making of those bio inputs. And also you can also access some of the information from Infonet that is being supported by BioVision Africa Trust. Number 2, on the issue of PELUM Kenya supporting domestication of policies at the county level, we are not. We actually have supported a guide to support in terms of the domestication of the National Agroecology Strategy. So with this guide, it also helps in terms of a county identifying the different pathways that they would like to invest in terms of, do they want a new policy on agroecology? Do they want to develop a strategy on agroecology? Or do they want to develop an implementation action plan based on the National Agroecology Strategy? So what we are doing is the county, they are the ones now, we want it also to be demand driven. The county has to express interest that we are now interested in agroecology, we want to develop this policy or strategy. What can you support? So policy process is it's a very expensive process. PELUM Kenya cannot do it alone. So we call other partners and we work together with the county government and we support them in one area or another in terms of the development or the implementation of the action plan. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And for Kilifi, I think there's also a project that is coming there, supported by the National Technical Committee on Agroecology. So you're not left behind. But like she says, counties, these things need to be demand driven. You know, Muranga County was the first because they had the initiative, the passion for it. Once you do that, you get noticed, you get support.
Thank you, Dr. Ulu. I'll only respond to one or two questions. One is the one asked by Violet and the other by Losrin. Essentially, because what has come out is the need for building capacity. I want to aver that most of those workers who are doing extension were never trained in agroecology. That's a fact. I don't think there are even many universities that have bothered to tweak the curriculum to reflect what is the reality on the ground. So my position is that we actually need a policy shift in terms of addressing, and I want to address the county government here. Nothing gets done in the government unless it's done through a policy. So if you want those farmers that are saying it's expensive, they can't get the products, then you can only address it through policy. Why am I saying policy? For example, in Muranga, we have decided that food system is a priority. So when we are doing our investment forum, we actually made security as one of the pillars we want to invest in. So we brought investors all the way from China to come and see how they can help us change the waste to money. So the government has identified that there is money in waste. So they are actually hosting the biggest dump site in Africa, and the intention is to make money from waste. What are we going to get from there? Cheap fertilizers that the farmers can access, cheap farm inputs that the farmers can access. Then the other thing is redistribution of the pesticides that are available. Because there are pesticides that are based on molecules that we've persistently used, like the pyrethrin. And there is a factory in Nakuru that is doing pesticides from pyrethrin. So all that we don't have is redistribution. So we need a policy at each county government level to address issues of access to bio inputs and biofertilizers. I'm sure by the time we do that investment at Agroecology, our farmers will not be talking about shortage of fertilizers. Because if it's going to go to Busia, by the time it gets to Busia, we'll get it at the cheapest it can be. Currently, the price of biofertilizers, Bokasi, is about 2,500. And I'm sure, although I'm not talking on behalf of my waziri, I'm sure that can easily get to have within Murang'a because there is no cost of redistribution. The other thing that came up is the online curriculum. We did engagement with the university. The issues of online curriculum has come up severally, and I can't say it's running, but we are thinking about it. I was mandated by my CC to start engaging with special office of the special envoy in the office of the president to develop an AI center of excellence, and this is going to be hosted at Murang'a University. That will help them leverage online training more easily, because I think that we'll be the first county to have an AI lab that can help disseminate information and make decisions based on the needs of the community. So probably we'll follow up to ensure they can use the most possible way to bring it online, because there has been physical. But I think given that modeling of university programs is on revenue, they have to design a program where you can pay and get online. But I'm sure it is going to be cheaper than coming physically. Then the other one that was asked is the farmers that are doing double plots. That is expected. Did you know that the Ministry of Agriculture ran something called Save Use program? For so many years, farmers are aware about the poisonous effect of some conventional pesticides. No wonder they know they can't eat what they are selling. But what is required is capacity and capacity. We are asking our partners, for example, in Murang'a, don't give us anything else. What we need is build on capacity of producers. The rest will just sort itself out. So, but what is important from the question that was asked from seed growers is that we need to ensure that the key actors at the front line, the extension workers, are aware about the change that we need. So if the county can support the training of extension workers, both in public and private, you remember the analogy I gave about Christianity? That is a strategy that we need to use. The farmers who don't have to eat from one plot and sell from the other plot. Because at the end of the day, when your neighbor gets cancer, you also spend. Because utaitwa kwa harambee. So if people get the opportunity cost of why we are saying food system, then they will not produce behind their back to sell to other farmers. So it's about capacity and capacity. The lady from Kilifi said they don't have actors. I think we didn't have. We have always believed that most of the private sector actors are actually in Western Kenya. When we started in Murang'a, we didn't have many, but I think we have used what is called strategizing to ensure that we bring them on board. Right now, we have over 53 actors. We hold a multi-stakeholder platform which has a strategic plan and can run itself, because we have managed to tell them that they matter, and we give them a space to act. So if you are there and you are saying there are no actors, please make it your business to ensure that you sell your strategy and you have identified outputs that align with their programs. Because if you are designing your own program, then they will not come on board. So they must be able to quantify why they are spending donor money on your specific counties. And I think.
Thank you very much, Bwana Gitai.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those questions. And I think Gitai, having been with me for long, he has almost answered my question. But I want to generally comment on the issue of organics. We have an organization for organic fertilizer manufacturers, meaning we as Kenyans are recognizing this as a need, and that organization was registered in 2023, meaning it's just 2 years old, and we are working together with them in the soil health matters because we know they matter. There could be challenges in terms of the distribution and the capacity, but the longest journey starts with one step. And we have already taken the first step as a country to focus on organics for our fertilizers. And I'm seeing as in the rural areas, in the counties, we have opportunities for businesses, for young people, for people who want to do the organic. I think this is the time. Don't complain that there is no distributor. How can you be the distributor? How can you be the advocate for that organic, for that region? The issue of our soils becoming more difficult to work. There's also the issue of how we have been managing our plowing, our planting, our seed beds. And I think there, as a country, we have not done very well. We have continually reduced the plowing depth, meaning when the rain comes or when we are watering, the water does not percolate. So we need to improve on our land preparation techniques to make it more friendly to the root of the crop that we want to plant. Sometimes it is not the lack of the nutrients that makes the produce not to uptake. It is the soil, the water, nutrient, air relationship. If it is not balanced, no matter how much fertilizer you apply, no matter how much nutrient you apply, it may not be able to be uptaken. So the issue of land preparation, the equipment and the machineries that are required, I think that's an area that also, through the extension in the county government, we need to refocus and make sure that our plowing has improved. Because I can tell you, if I give an example of maize, if you don't plow 15 centimeters for maize, you may not get the right output from your crop. So it is not just the number of plants you plant. It is also how many plants can be able to uptake the necessary nutrients from the soil and from the water and the nutrients you have applied. Mheshimiwa has talked about amplification of NAS. I think that is why we are here as the technical team, IFSFA, to make sure that this message goes out there in the world, that we have a strategy. All we need is domestication. So any county, any organization that is willing to support, we are there to give the technical capacity. Asante.
Thank you very much. Okay. Parting shots from our youth and Daktari.
So I will amplify the issue with Violet from CGA. And what is the core reason of why we have two plots? And going deeper also and looking at the different value chains, we have done a commendable job on showing how to grow food for subsistence in an agroecology manner. And that we have done a good job. But what I feel our partners now need to look into, how do we also now train farmers to grow commercial foods, in a sustainable manner, or rather in an agroecologically aligned manner. And why am I saying this? Because I remember one of the actually increases to about 30 bags. Actually increases to about 30 bags. Actually, it records 35 to 40% increase in yields. And let us look at on the other side. When the soil testing was done, when they were purely using synthetic fertilizers, they had quite high amounts of heavy metals in their soil. When they purely did organic, the heavy metals were actually reducing. But when they actually combined, the heavy metals present in the soil continued to reduce. And what does that show us? That shows us that there is a critical balance between, in commercial production, there is crop nutrition. This crop, it's feeding from the soil, and we have to look how can we sustainably and affordably promote it. So in that manner, as the director is saying, there is a gap in how are we doing our extension services, not only for the subsistence production, but also for the commercial production of foods, so that at the end of the day we can say, yes, we have commercially available, commercially safely grown foods. Let us come back also to pesticides. There was a case about a farmer who had actually done a lot of work doing the fencing crops. And as the fencing crops continued growing, the maize at the lower level where they were at par with the fencing crop, they did not suffer any, they were not attacked by pests. But as they continue growing beyond the fencing crop, then the pests started coming in. So this is a maize producing farmer doing it in large scale. At the end of the day, he was actually forced to revert back to using the pesticide. But what if we had organic pesticides which have the same level of efficacy as per the synthetic one, certified that they are safe safe to use, and also training on how they can be used in the right way. So that is why we are going, and how we are going to curb the two plots theory. So thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Very briefly, Waziri Dr. Steve Mbai has just left, but he raised an important point. We want to see how we can broaden collaboration across all the key partners. This work can't be successful without all our joint collaborations. So nurturing truly functional, productive collaborations is the way to go, and we'll continue to do that. Secondly, I'm glad that we now have a national agroecology strategy. Muranga started. Other counties have been doing the same. But now we are developing a framework to support the domestication of the national strategy, so that instead of taking 5 years, counties might take maybe maximum 2 years. Their own strategy has been developed using the national one for domestication. And I think that is a very big achievement. Finally, I want to say this: we are all committed to work together with all the national institutions, the private sector, the NGOs, and the important institutions, and our development partners, to see how much progress we can take. And with our ISFA network, together with the ministry, we will come up with a mechanism of how do we then document the progress we are making, the impact we are generating, and the milestones we are covering. I think this will be the best practice to do, so that 5 years from today, when we meet again in another forum, we can say these are the key challenges, these are the key milestones we have made, these are the challenges we have addressed, these are the opportunities we have unlocked. And with that, we can actually make a lot of progress. Thank you. I really appreciate having had the opportunity to be part of this panel.
Thank you very much. Tuwapigie makofi. Situpige makofi like we are going to have lunch. Because we are talking about food and nutrition security. Thank you very much. You can take your seat. So this has been very interesting. We need to work together. Okay. A suggestion, we have a group photo. We should, yeah? Good. Do we have the group photo first? Okay. So we have the group photo. You can join. And then Professor will give us closing remarks. Victoria, Makweni. Oh, and there's someone from Kilifi. Join us. Hey. So that the next time we meet, you don't say, oh, Kilifi is left behind. We don't want to leave any county behind. Mm. Photographer, can you take all of us? Acha tuambie if the Thank you very much. So, the audience can come to the front. We take a group photo, and then Professor CCM can close for us with the last remarks. Yeah, don't leave. We are finalizing. We'll have final remarks from the CEC, Murang'a County.
So, thank you very much. Just some